Starting off with news on the Israeli protests, Israelis continue to organize protests against the policies of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. Protests and counter-protests have been held over quite a long period now. Here's a report on the latest that's happening there.
Tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets in Israel for 7 straight months in the most sustained and intense demonstrations the country has ever seen. Fending off police on horseback and chanting democracy, the protesters are part of a grassroots movement that rose out of opposition to a contentious judicial overhaul. The overhaul calls for sweeping changes aimed at curbing the powers of the judiciary, from limiting the Supreme Court's ability to challenge parliamentary decisions to changing the way judges are selected. While the government says the overhaul is needed to reduce the powers of unelected judges, the protesters, who make up a wide cross-section of society, say the overhaul amounts to regime change, pushing Israel toward autocracy. With the key portion of the overhaul nearing a final vote early next week, the demonstrators have promised further days of disruption.
So what should happen is it will bring us into, we'll be marching toward a constitutional crisis, meaning that the laws that will be legislated contradict any constitutionals or any values that we believe in as a nation. We think that the gatekeeper, as I call them, the Supreme Court in this sense, will rule out this, will reject the laws, and we should be in the streets to back up the decision makers, the police, the army, and so on, to make the right thing and to follow the law and not follow the non-legitimate government.
Intended as a way to restore power to elected officials, critics see it as a power grab, fueled by various personal and political grievances by Netanyahu and his partners.
The protesters are protesting against an attempt to give all the power in the hand of the government. It has a few components, but this is the real rationale: to give the power for the majority to do anything. This will be a very hollow democracy, which means majority can do anything. No protection of human rights, no protection of minority, no protection of women, no protection against corruption.
Netanyahu has vowed to shelve a bill that would give a simple majority in parliament power to override Supreme Court decisions.
אני מבקש לומר לכם שנעשים מאמצים להגיע להסכמה על עילת הסבירות. אני מאוד מקווה שהמאמצים האלה יצליחו. אבל גם אם לא, דלתה של האופוזיציה, של הקואליציה, תישאר פתוחה תמיד. לכם אזרחי ישראל וגם לאופוזיציה.
But some in his government say that's not the case. Critics say removing that standard would allow the government to pass arbitrary decisions, make improper appointments or firings, and open the door to corruption. While the opposition to the judicial bill is only widening,
I think that we are already achieving a huge success. It has to be understood. This is a very successful protest so far. Yeah, we did not, reach the end goal of this game, but so far we have been able to prevent them from changing the country. And yes, now they are taking a step forward. We understand that this is only a first step because they tell us that this is their first step, and they are willing to change Israel from a liberal democracy into a dark dictatorship. So we are moving forward, we are successful all the time, and as I said, the way how to get out of this particular scene is clear. If they move on, we will be backing up our gatekeeper to make the right decision, our soldiers, our policemen, the judges of the Supreme Court, and so on.
The bill is expected to pass on Monday before the summer recess. Agency Report, Republic TV.